Well, thank you once more. Good morning to everybody. I am Amungwa Tabikam, a PhD student at the University of Boya. I'm an environmental engineer by formation, presently assistant researcher. Next. Well, my presentation is structured as follows. We'll be structured as introduction, then I'll list some of the environmental impacts from agro-industrial activities, the implication on the ecosystem, the significance of the review, and some expected results, because I'm actually doing some research in that direction. Conclusion and reference. Next. Well, the course, according to the studies from a working document I reviewed from UNESCO and IOC, realized that within the Central African states, their coast and maritime ecosystems remain their key strategic asset for their development. But in order for them to reach their full potential, we have realized that it has to be sustainably managed. The Republic of Cameroon has about 26.7% of its population within its coastal lines, and this is the same for most of the Central African states within the African continent. Next. Since Cameroon exhibits most of the climates within the African continent, it is most often referred to as Africa in miniature. As such, the coastline occupies like 402 kilometers as from studies by Soye et al. 1992. Within this coastal zone of Cameroon, there lies the agroecological zone 4, which is a monomodal equatorial climate. This zone is well used because of its very hospitable climate, the rich soils. As such, most of the agro-industrial activities are located within this zone of Cameroon, the coastal zone. Next. Cameroon, from the studies done by UNEP in 2005, Cameroon was ranked among the first 5 countries richest in biodiversity. But with the accelerated rate of deforestation that is experienced, and with the, unfortunately, this is mostly as a result of these agro-industrial plantations that are expanding rapidly within these coastal zones of Cameroon as a result of its favorable climate, like I already said. With the massive land changes and resulting in significant degradation on the coastal maritime ecosystem. Thus, there is very little data, recent data on the environmental impact of these agro-industrial activities on the coastal ecosystems of Cameroon. Next. Yes, so I'll just list some of the environmental impacts as a result of agro-industrial activities that are concentrated along the coastal zones of Cameroon. We have here enrichment, soil enrichment. This is enrichment of the ocean due to eutrophication water from chemicals used by agro-industrial plantations for maximizing yields and profit. Then we have sedimentation, which is mostly as a result of soil erosion, that the soil is being washed out to the ocean. Then we have loss of original vegetative cover and potential economic plants, which is due to the practice of agro-industrial plantations, because it's mostly monoculture. Then there's a disturbance of wildlife, which is as a result of the habitat destruction. Then we have pollution, like the other panelists have explained, on pesticide. Then we have outbreaks of disease and development of anti-resistance, which is mostly as a result of pesticides or the other chemicals that are used. Next. Well, we all know the goal of UNESCO and IOC regards to this is to tackle coastal vulnerability and to build institutional capacity in ocean science and integrated coastal management. Well, Serekuma and the University of Boya, there are other research institutes that are their objective ties to the UNESCO. So it is a win-win deal if much research can be carried out to really bring to light some of these impacts, because most information that we get, they are kind of outdated. So we need recent information to properly evaluate and to manage these coastal ecosystems. Well, next, these are pictures of some practical examples that I have. The first photo is a photo of fresh palm oil meal effluents from processing palm oil. This is from a photo from the studies I did at the Tico factory where they mill palm oil. The photo 2 is a photo of decomposed palm oil meal effluents that has taken long and it has degraded to this such. The third photo is a photo on Heraku Farms SG sock. It's a virgin forest that was cut, that was degraded for their nursery and their eventual plantation. Then photo 4 is a wetland here in Kribi where it's been transformed for aquaculture purposes. Then photo 5 is a photo of a degraded arable land still by palm oil meal effluents. These are just some of the example photos I have. Next. Well, what makes this presentation relevant is that there isn't sufficient data, like I already said, related to environmental impacts resulting from agro-industrial activities on the coastal communities. With most of these communities having their cultures linked to the ocean, it is thus paramount that some of the activities, it is thus important that some of the activities be looked at more detailedly, especially these agro-industrial activities, to see what ways they can be conserved and sustainably managed. And why not possibly with some respect to the diversity that can be accessed. It could be designated like a World Heritage Site. It depends on the studies that can be carried out. So next. Well, if the studies are carried out, I believe in order, first of all, to sustainably manage any given resources, we should be able to quantify and qualify the resources. Thus, this presentation highlights some of the major environmental impacts that were identified by other authors. The impacts resulting from agrarian. So if this studies is carried out, these are the expected results that can be harnessed. Like we can identify and characterize the environmental impacts resulting from these agrarian activities within the coastal areas of Cameroon. We can properly show some of the economic benefits from integrating the principles of the integrated coastal management along the coastal areas of Cameroon. We can expand the knowledge on coastal vulnerability resulting from agro-industrial activities, such that decisions that can be made will be based on scientific findings, not just politics and stuff, but it will be backed by data that will be collected. Next. Well, to conclude, there is no sustainable management of any ecosystem without, especially on this coastal, without properly carrying out environmental impacts from these agro-industrial activities, in order to take stock of the resources and not forgetting the compounding effects that climate change has on these coastal ecosystems. Like Asangwe 2006, for the quest of any sustainable management to meet the yearnings of an ever-increasing and fast-growing population like us, there is need for a collective interventions of all stakeholders, be it say Chroma, UNESCO, and the University of Beira, to properly to detailedly study and assess this environment so that decisions can be made that take into consideration everybody that has a part to play for the sustainable management of the ecosystem. Well, that's the end of my presentation. Thank you for your keen attention and for giving me the floor. Thank you.